And welcome to Advanced Shouting alongside Dan Petru, Michael Varsian, and our good friend Jackie Spiegel. My name is Noel Fogelman. Happy July 1st, everybody. Yeah, observed on October 9th this year. NHL Free Agency begins today. Kind of disappointing a little bit, kind of like the draft. It was a pretty boring day so far. A lot of moves, but nothing really too exciting, guys.
Boring unless you're a Kings fan. The expansion. I mean, the lottery is pretty exciting for me.
Oh yeah, maybe I'm just thinking as an Islander fan, but nothing's been done. But yeah, I mean, Jackie, I guess we'll start with the biggest player today who signed Henrik Lundqvist. Is staying in the Metro.
It's a big move. I wouldn't say it's the biggest move of the day, to be honest. That's my personal opinion. But obviously, Henrik Lundqvist going to a Metro Division rival is quite interesting, to say the least. It's only a 1-year deal. I think it's pretty much a win now or go big or go home kind of thing. I was on the call. He was very excited to be going where Alexander Ovechkin is. He's always been someone who's respected Ovechkin's game. And he's also obviously very excited to be reunited with Carl Hagelin, former Ranger as well. And Nicklas Backstrom, who's also a Swede. So, a couple of familiar faces for him down there in Washington. And it'll be interesting to see. He obviously wants to play, and he wants to be that number one guy, but I don't think that's going to be the case. He was very open on the call about that he will be willing to do whatever Peter Laviolette wants. But you could tell that he's like, this is my chance to get back into game shape and to get back into being like that number one guy. Obviously, Ilya Samsonov is quite a talented netminder. So, sorry. All
right.
I think we'll do this.
Let's see Ranger. There we go.
Appropriate name for this segment.
So, it'll be interesting to see how he does. He'll obviously be someone who will push Samsonov in net. It'll be a good acquisition for the Caps.
It's going to be so weird to see him in a Capitals jersey. There's certain players that I really thought he was going to retire a Ranger, but I guess that fire to win a cup burns really hot in all of these guys for the most part, and he doesn't feel, like you said, Jackie, he doesn't feel like he's done, so he wants to give it another kick at the can.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, and it's a pretty big sign because you think about the NHL season might have a condensed schedule next year. So
right.
You can have like a 1A, 1B, and especially like kind of an inexperienced goalie like Samsonov. Having Lundqvist back there is a big boost to the Capitals.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Before I give you my 2 cents on how lethargic today has been, make sure you subscribe to the channel, please. We need as many subscriptions as we can get. Follow us all on Twitter. We have an advanced shouting page. I'm just going to do an old job off the top here. And also, Jackie is the deputy editor of Sporting News Canada. Okay, now that all that's been done, I'm looking up at you.
Okay, Dan, if you're watching, her title slid across our lovely ticker along with some of the movies.
Yes, but people don't read TV. They're listening as well. Although if you do look below, you'll see all the signings from today as well. No, that was a good job.
This is a visual medium, Dan. Okay.
It is a visual medium, but, come on, let's show a little respect to our guests, please.
Always.
Okay. All right, now that I have that rant, I'm also, hello, everyone in the chat. Maybe I should start the show from now on. Anyway, all right.
Goodbye, Dan. All right, I'll give him like a couple seconds. Okay, you good now? You good?
Well, I feel like I was at a debate or something, and I just got cut off.
I can moderate the next debate.
You are the fly on my forehead.
Exactly. Okay.
Okay, so now we'll talk about free agency. I think what we see today is signings reflective of a flat cap. There are a lot of teams that do not have a lot of money to spend, and there are maybe 3 teams that have a ton of money to spend, but they're terrible. So players aren't necessarily going to go there, and they haven't been able to. Some teams haven't been able to move enough money yet to actually make an impact. So you still see a lot of big names out there. Basically, what you've seen today, for the most part, is goaltending carousel. There hasn't been a lot of big name signing or a lot of forwards or defensemen signing as well. It's been mostly goalies.
Well, I think some of the issue today has been that there wasn't an interview period. So
right.
A lot of teams aren't really even sure where someone wants to go. or who they want to, they might like someone on paper, but then they talk to them and it's not the right fit. So I think that's why we're kind of seeing a bit of a slowdown right now. And also a lot of the deals are only like 1 or 2 years. And I think that's because of so much uncertainty and when the season will actually start next year, or I guess technically next year right now, because it's, it won't start till at least January 1st, Commissioner Gary Bettman announced before the draft. So I think there's a lot of uncertainty. There is a bunch of deals that maybe get paid a little bit more in the middle as opposed to right now, because of that flat cap and because they don't know what the future holds. I mean, the cap could be flat again next year. It could. I don't know if they can legally put it down any lower, but it'll be interesting to see. And there's a couple of players like Michael Grabner, actually former, I think Islander, right? Ranger.
Yeah, former all Metro Division pretty much.
Tri-State guy. He actually came out and said that he's going to wait and see because he doesn't even know when the season's going to start. So it's interesting. I'm not surprised that that's why we're seeing kind of a slowdown from earlier today.
Now, some of the bigger players, Taylor Hall, are you kind of surprised that he hasn't signed yet?
Not really. I mean, I'm not surprised about him. I'm not surprised about Alex Petrangelo or Torrey Krug or any of those guys because, again, they need to know where people want them, and then they need. I'm sure they're getting multiple offers at this point. And because it wasn't that interview period where like a guy can fly into, like Taylor Hall, for example, could fly into Edmonton, he could fly into Calgary, as long as he's in Canada right now. And he can go to these places and talk to them and sit with them and see the city. And he obviously knows Calgary and Edmonton because he's from Calgary and he played in Edmonton. But what I'm saying is they don't have those talks right now, so it's definitely what's causing some of the slowdown and where we don't know some of these big names are going right now because they're probably getting offers left and right.
I think with Taylor Hall, I mean, we've talked about this off camera actually throughout the day, Noel. I think maybe he even takes a little less money, maybe doesn't go for that monster 8 or 7 or 8 year, well, he can't get an 8-year deal, that monster 7-year deal. Maybe he signs for a little bit less and a little shorter stay and goes to Colorado. I really think he could help that team. You put him on a second line with Kadri and Burakovsky, that really balances out their top 6 where they become, look, before they got injured this year, they were probably one of the cup contenders coming out of the West. Injuries destroyed them in the playoffs. They have the cap room to do it right now. They don't have to pay McKinnon anytime soon. I think that's, if you're looking just from a place where, hey, I can go win right away, or do I want to get paid? If I want to go win right away, I think Colorado is the best fit for Taylor Hall.
That would be sick. They're already a nasty team. I mean,
he wouldn't have to be the guy there either, Michael.
Yeah,
McKinnon's the guy there. We all know that. And even Makar is kind of the guy there.
Yeah,
he could just be a support role.
The Avs actually did sign a couple of guys, a couple of forwards, probably more for the stockpile, the minor, the AHL team, but it'll be interesting. I mean, the issue with Colorado, especially in the playoffs, was goaltending, and that's why there was a lot of people who thought maybe that's where Henrik Lundqvist would end up, right? Which was surprising. It's still surprising though that he stayed in the East. I have to be honest, but I understand that obviously DC and New York are not very far apart. Maybe his family will stay in New York and he'll be in DC. It's only a 4-hour train ride, an hour and a half flight, if that much. So, do they need Taylor Hall? I don't know. It doesn't hurt to have someone of his caliber in your lineup, but there's definitely other teams that really need that position filled with someone as talented as he is.
Yeah, absolutely. There are a couple of other guys who signed today. A little interesting. Matt Murray, who just got traded a couple of days ago, signed extension. The money was, I think, a little too much considering his history and maybe his history and injury history. What are your thoughts about the contract?
I actually like the addition of Matt Murray to the Senators. It's a little bit curious because I feel like it does speed up their rebuild a little bit. But he's a Stanley Cup winner. He does have a history of concussions and injuries that makes you pause for a minute. But I think it's a good deal for them. I think it solidifies their net position. I think he's only like in his 20s, so he's a young guy. And this is a team that probably within 2 to 3 years will definitely be contending for a playoff spot. I mean, they have some talent in that system. I mean, there's Eric Brandstrom, there's of course I totally like blank on the name as I say it. But obviously you have Thomas Chabot. You have talent up and down this in the system for the Senators, and then you add it with a solid guy in net. And look, goaltending, right? Defense with championships. I don't think it's a bad move at all.
Yeah, I think the move was fine. I think maybe the term, not the term, the salary. I think was maybe a little too much. But you know what? They have the cap space and they have to get to the floor. So that's probably why they gave him a couple extra bucks right there.
Oh yeah, I mean they're definitely. I think they were like 30 million under the cap or some crazy number like that. So
wow.
Like it was something crazy. If they weren't in a rebuild, I wouldn't be surprised if they would have gone after someone like a Torrey Krug or Pietrangelo, just because they have the room and that would just be a massive addition to their lineup.
Even though the cap has prevented a lot of movement so far today, at least, and look, all these guys are going to find new homes over time. It's just a little slower process this year. That doesn't mean there hasn't been some bad contracts. The one that really scratches my head, and I like this player a lot. I think he's a fantastic young player, but he's had some really bad injuries the last couple of years, is Josh Anderson. Okay, great, you acquired him. Do you have to give him a 7 years, $5 million a year? You have to give that right away? Look, I really like the player. I really think he will fit in well with Montreal, especially with the skill they have in the center ice position now with Suzuki and Kotkaniemi. I think he will be the perfect offset of that with his physical play. He'll create time and space. I fully expect him to get 45 to 50 points next year, but that deal really puzzles me. The length, not so much the AAV.
It's a lot of money, and it's a lot of term. It's shocking. Yeah. I wasn't when I saw it. It was kind of like, are we sure about this? Kind of. He's had such such injury issues. He's coming off.
That was a major shoulder injury.
He had a shoulder surgery back during the season. I mean, he only played like 20-something games last year, and his
he had one goal. Right.
When you look at his numbers overall, they're not great. I mean, look, there is a lot of upside on him, right? As long as his shoulder is healed and he's 100%. But yeah, it was a little surprising. Now, Max Domi had to get out of Montreal, in my opinion. So I think it was a good move in the swap. I don't know necessarily if the contract was the best.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. The money doesn't bother me that much because the upside. If he stays healthy, the upside is huge. I mean, he's going to be making $1 million less than Dustin Brown, for Christ's sake. So, but the term is outrageous for a guy who, like you both said, has such a long history of injuries and hasn't really. His potential has kept him relevant. He hasn't actually really proven himself at the highest level yet. So, 7 years. That's he must be thrilled, because if he personally feels like he might be injury prone and he's not sure about his longevity in the league, he take the money while you can, and he just got paid. Boy just got paid today.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that whole thing plays out. But you're right, Dan. I mean, they do have some talent in that. I mean, I think I saw that is he getting paid more than Shea Weber now?
Yes.
Yeah. It's just a little mind-blowing. But I mean, Shea Weber is towards the end of his career at this point. But obviously the intangibles that he has are just off the charts. Does that mean that he's getting paid more than Carey Price or no?
No, he's not making more than Carey Price. He is making more than Nathan McKinnon.
Yeah, which is insane.
The best contract in hockey.
Hands down, best contract in hockey.
I think Dustin Brown is too.
Yes, I think they're the same, right? They both make $6 a year.
I think Dustin Brown makes about as much as Pasternak, which seems totally fair.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no. Anderson makes $5 a year, so it is less than McKinnon, but it is pretty close.
Yeah. There's one player who wasn't qualified, and he represents himself, which I guess he has a pull from an agent. It's Anthony Duclair. It's a shame that they couldn't get something, done, especially Ottawa's cap situation. He had a great year. It looks like he's really was flourishing in Ottawa. I'm sure a lot of teams are going to want him. Do you see any chance for him actually going back to Ottawa?
I don't know. I feel like hearing Pierre. I was on Pierre's call yesterday, and hearing him talk, and then seeing Anthony's tweets. I don't know if the bridge maybe burned slightly there. Anthony Duclair is. I mean, look, he's a Rangers draft pick originally. He's moved around a lot in the last couple of years, but he had a fantastic year for Ottawa. I was actually surprised that they didn't bring him back. I don't think they met where they wanted to in terms of contract. I think that he wanted more than the Senators were willing to give him, which again is a little weird, right? Because you were talking about how they need to get up to the floor, but it is what it is. I think that he can really bring a little bit of an offensive punch to teams out there that need like that kind of positional player. He had, like I said, he had a great year. He's an all-star this year.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Yep, he was. Yep.
So, good kid, good skill level. I think if he's with the right players, he could be even better. There's always like that talk when he was with the Rangers of that he has potential to be that guy, right? Like he can be a very solid like second line guy. And I think he just hasn't had the opportunities until maybe this season where he's showed that he can be that that guy that you count on, and he can put the puck in the net. And I think, moving on to another team where they lean on him a little bit might not be a bad thing.
And I don't know this at all. Most hockey players are good dudes, at least from my point of view. You probably know them differently and maybe have some issues with some of them because it is a microcosm of society. But I mean, for a kid, he's moved around a lot. And I first saw him at the World Juniors, and I thought, who the fuck is this guy? This kid is amazing. And who did he go to? Where did he go first? Was it Arizona or
Arizona,
and then Toronto, Chicago.
Claire?
Yeah.
Rangers draft pick, and he played for the Rangers for a little bit, and then he went to Arizona. I believe he was part of the Derek Stepan trade, if I remember correctly.
That's right.
Yeah. All right.
Then Arizona, Columbus,
Toronto.
Yeah,
Ottawa.
And John Tortorella obviously did not have the best of things to say about him, thinking that he needed to work a little bit harder, if I remember correctly.
Right.
I don't remember the quotes exactly from Torts, but it was a fresh start in Ottawa, and I thought he proved himself. I was really surprised they didn't offer him a new deal.
Yeah, and I guess my sort of, it's not even a point. It's just a question I'm posing is that for a kid that young who's moved around a lot already so much, is there a character issue? Not in terms of his character as a man or as a person off the ice, but in terms of perhaps his work ethic or other things that it's rare you see a kid with that much talent not be given a chance to really develop in one place for more than. He was in Ottawa, what, 3 years, Mac? 2.5?
I believe
Ottawa, he was only a year and a half.
Yeah.
Year and a half.
I believe he was part of last year.
I just feel like there might be something else at play here that we're not privy to necessarily because his talent is undeniable for sure.
I think, though, with that being said, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jackie.
It does make you wonder, but I don't know.
I think with that being said, I think there are a lot of teams he could help, especially if he's not looking for the moon here. If he looks, for a lower end deal, maybe $1.5 million a year, maybe a 1 or 2 year deal, I think he can help a lot of teams middle six. He's a good skater. He wasn't great towards the end of last year. He started off strong, didn't finish well. But I definitely think he's someone, I think he can go to a good team and provide 20-something goals, really be an injection of speed into the lineup and be pretty good. One other signing that I really like today, before I get to that, hello, everybody in the comments. If you guys have questions, if there's someone you want us to talk about who signed today with a particular team, hit us up in the comments. We'll talk about them. One deal I like, someone who was an absolute nightmare in Nashville who was bought out, but signs a good deal, a good show-me deal in Edmonton is Kyle Turris. We know he has talent. It didn't work in Nashville. Now going to Edmonton where there is plenty of players to play with, especially on special teams, could Kyle Turris be a free agency steal today?
You hope so. It's so hard to tell because you don't know how guys are with new teams and in new environments. Like I like to say, you always think on paper, it always looks good. But I mean,
right.
He is playing with Connor McDavid, or he'll be on the team. We don't know what the structure of the lines will look like. And there's obviously Leon Draisaitl that's there, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and it'll be interesting to see. I think he's a good addition. I don't know. It's always hard to tell. Like I love to say, but it's definitely
not a lot of money. So if he throws up 47 points there at $1.5 million a year, that's great. 47 million in Nashville, $6 million is terrible. So it's all relative now to what you're making, which is a shame because it's all based on we live in a salary cap world now.
Oh, it's definitely big for your buck kind of thing. I think, and it's a good contract to sign him, for that kind of money. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Will he place? Do you think he'll play third line center or second line center, or will they move him to the wing maybe?
Usually they have Connor play center and they have Draisaitl play center, right? So
and Nugent-Hopkins.
And Nugent-Hopkins, Draisaitl, and Yamamoto were really good together last year. So it'll be interesting to see if they break that up or not.
Yeah, because if he was third line, he'd be on the line with Cassian and James Neal, maybe? Is that the third line?
Yeah, who are the first line wingers for Edmonton?
Cassian played David for some of the years, and he got dropped down, but
Tyler
Puljujarvi's coming back too.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It is. That's interesting because we know he has talent too. So this should be interesting.
Yeah. Sorry, Jackie. Yeah. Well, even like Sidney Crosby, like some of the wingers he's had in his career, he gave them Ryan Rust. I mean, if you can have a great player at center and you have decent wings, you're gonna
Chris Kunitz,
Brad Boys. I mean, some of these guys who if you're a superstar player, you bring up these guys and you help them out. So putting Turris on the line with David certainly help.
Kind of like Tom Brady is the Sidney Crosby of the NFL.
Yeah.
When I did there, I put the NHL first. I didn't say that Sidney Crosby was the Tom Brady of the NHL. I mean, he's one of the greatest players of all time. So I could maybe score on his line once.
Maybe.
Well, the thing with Crosby is he's so unique because he's so skilled. He's such a dominant puck possession guy. He's actually can be hard to play with at times because while he is that guy, he also works really hard in the corners. And so he never seemed to gel with like a Marian Hossa. He didn't really gel all the time with Malkin. I know on the power play that's completely different. Or Kessel. Those guys, he always seems to do well with the guys who will let him carry the puck and kind of just get out of the way, like a Chris Kunitz, like a Pascal Dupuis, those type of players. It's very interesting for someone who is arguably one of the best players, top 2 or 3 players of this generation. All this high-skilled players that were put next to him didn't always work.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it's like even like Matt Barzal, who like just skates around, has possession half the time. You look at Anders Lee, puts himself right in front of the net. He doesn't get in the way. It's a player like that. He knows what he has to be, and it's true.
In terms of just hockey IQ, Crosby is just off the charts, obviously. And I've heard some players whose names I don't remember because it's been over the years, but who said that he's actually hard to play with because he is so smart. He does actually think the play 1 or 2 seconds ahead of everyone else, and you have to be able to anticipate what he might or might not do. And like you said, with Anders Lee and Barzal, I'm just going to sit in front of the net and let him do his thing. And sometimes the simplest, easiest thing to do is the best thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, look,
like in my beer league, like when I have the puck in my beer league, guys just know where to go. And it's
same thing. I would just give the puck to Jackie and just get to the front of the net.
No, it's usually for the parking lot. They're going to have beer already because they're like, oh, this guy's got the puck. No choice, no chance.
That's like Connor McDavid, though, right? Like I love going to cover Oiler games because I just focus on watching him because his vision out there. There's been a couple times where he's like I hate to make the comparison, but obviously like a Gretzky where he just sees the play like 3 plays ahead of everybody else. And I've seen him all of a sudden like hit like Darnell Nurse off the point, and you're just like, where did that come from? And then he scores.
Right.
I mean, it's just, in my opinion, everyone should watch Connor McDavid play.
You're so right. When I watch an Oilers game, I'm hard pressed to not actually watch him and not the puck. He's just almost every decision he makes is the right decision at all times, and he so often does things that are so unexpected. You and the entire building and audience at home are sure he's going to shoot, and like you said, he finds someone in the slot, and it's a virtual empty net for his teammates. So, yeah, guys like that obviously don't come around that often. So,
well, the funny thing with McDavid is he's so fast, and you need elite skaters on his line. I remember when they thought Lucic would work with McDavid, but like by the time he gets to like the face-off dots, it's like, oh, he has to think one of two things. Okay, should I just take this to the net, or do I have to pull up and wait about 7 seconds for my line mates to catch up with me? I think that's why you always see him hitting the trailer, because he's always the first one in the zone.
Yeah, if he pulled the hash marks, he's going in the net.
That's right.
Driving the net. Like,
when he has the puck, everyone on his team is the trailer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, the Lucic signing wasn't to be a guy that skates with him. I mean, let's be real.
But when they put them together, it's like, this is not going to work.
Yeah.
I could see that could have worked in the power play, not even strength.
I understand why they got him in the long run, because it's protection.
But Cassian seemed to fill that role pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, at times.
At times, yes.
Yeah.
When he's not chasing Matthew Tkachuk across the ice.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. I mean, personal opinion, I think Cassian is a much better player than Lucic now.
Yes.
He's also younger. Not
yeah.
age into it, but yeah.
No, Lucic was great in Boston. He was amazing. He lost a step, and it's gotten to the point where I think during the tenure of his career, the league has changed in terms of skill. And there are games when I've watched him play, and play for the Kings. It's just like, what are you doing? What is this guy doing in the league? I'm sure there's more than a dozen players in the AHL who skate circles around this guy. But again, talking about a role and what is expected out of a certain player. So I'm not going to be too hard on him. But man, he's hard to watch, like playing with a piano on his back.
Well, I think that happened to him, James Neal, Corey Perry, Ryan Getzlaff. They didn't necessarily lose a step. Everyone else in the league that came up gained a step.
Well, yeah, it's a young man's league,
right?
Yeah,
is what they all say.
Which is why we're all sitting right here.
But they all have their places, and like the thing with Lucic is that he's not necessarily there to be a points guy. He's not the guy he was in Boston, right? He's long removed from that. He's a veteran presence. You know, a lot of guys talked about how, on the Calgary Flames, talked about how in the 2019 playoffs when they won game 1 and then got swept in the next 4 by the Avalanche, that they kind of needed that veteran presence. They didn't have anyone in that locker room that had really had playoff experience that year. And they all talked about how getting Lucic brought in that guy that had, I mean, look, man's won cup. He won a cup.
Right.
Yep.
And it's easy for Jeff Ward to have been there because he won a cup with the Bruins as well. You know, he was the coach, one of the coaches with the Bruins when Lucic was there. But it's a little different when it's one of your guys that's next to you that's been there. And they all talked about how he brought that element and he brought that experience to the locker room. And I firmly believe that they had that in 2019. It would have been a much different, because I feel like once they lost game 2 and then lost game 3, it just like snowballed.
Mm-hmm.
And James Neal, when he was on that team, yes, he had been to the final with Vegas. I think it was just even the year before. And I think he had one other final. But he was also getting scratched. And he wasn't playing. And he wasn't playing well. Right. And he was hurt towards the end of the year. So it wasn't really maybe his place. And I don't know how much he was around the team at that point, to be honest, because I think he was dealing with some injury and then he was getting scratched and whatnot. So it's a little harder for him to have been that guy. And when you have a guy like Lucic who has a lot of experience in the play, I mean, look, he went to a final and he won a cup and he's been around, he's been around for a while, that it wasn't surprising that they were at least able to get that win against Winnipeg in the bubble.
All right, so let's shift to a sport that's actually going on right now. Baseball. The Yankees had a pivotal game 4. Sorry, Michael.
My Mets are out of it, so I'm really not interested. But
I know, Jack.
Let's go Rays. Let's go Rays.
Exactly. Yankees.
Hey, anyone but the Astros, please.
Anyone.
How bad would that look if they make the World Series and/or win the World Series?
It would fit this year. And
They shouldn't even be. They shouldn't have been eligible for the playoffs.
But you know what? It's fine. When fans come back, they're not gonna forget this.
Oh, I know.
They're gonna give.
I like how mad they're like the chip. Oh, the haters. You fucking cheated, and you're wondering why people are mad at you.
But you know what? You do have to give them some props for actually competing and making it this far.
Yeah, I guess.
Said,
I don't want to, but I guess.
I know you do have to. But Yankees, a big win yesterday. Jordan Montgomery, 4 good innings. Bullpen was phenomenal. They got enough hitting. Gleyber Torres, who's a postseason star. I'm still a little pissed off about Game 2 because I think analytics get in the way of so much of baseball now, and
umpires.
Umpires too. I'm all for robotic umpires now.
I'm ready for it too. This strike zone has been insulting to my intelligence.
It's ridiculous.
It's ruining the sport. When there's so much money involved, it is the difference between a 1-2 and a 2-1 count is massive and cannot be understated, especially if they're men on base late in the game that might be tied or you're down by a run. For an umpire to miss a call by often 7 inches is.
I don't mind if you're just missing the corner. If it's 2 strikes and you're just missing a little bit, I don't mind. And even back in the day when Maddox used to get like this much, like some of these have been like a foot.
It's ridiculous.
And it drives me crazy.
Both teams, throughout the whole league, it's not just the Yankees Rays series. It's been every game.
And it's been going on for the last decade. Yeah. It's been going on since they invented that little electronic square thing. And the thing that drives me crazy is, okay, this umpire, he calls a high strike. This one calls a low strike. This one, no, it's a strike or it's not. And they just keep the umpires on the field to make they are good. I mean, those tack first base catch foot on the bag thing. It happens so quickly. These guys are so fast now. I give them a lot of props. It's not an easy thing to do, but in terms of the strikes and the balls, it has to become electronic because it's just. Every single game, there's a dozen calls that are missed, and it ruins the game. It really does.
Now, I know last year they experimented in football with being able to challenge pass interference. That used to be a judgment call. Do you think there'll ever be a time where you can challenge a ball or a strike?
I don't think so. Just because of they've been on such a hellbender to make the game shorter, right? That would just. Can you imagine?
These games have been brutal. They're brutal.
Can you imagine every 6th pitch a manager throws the red flag and is like, no, actually we want to check on that.
It needs to be one. If they're going to do it, it needs to be maybe once or twice a game.
Right.
Yeah.
Or that's your challenge. You're able to challenge a ball strike. You get one challenge, whether it's a play at the plate, home run, anything. That's your one challenge.
But the problem is these umps are missing multiple pitches per at bat.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And look, if they can do it in soccer, if they can have that little chip in the ball that just make it electronic and still have the ump behind the plate to call the.
It works in soccer. It works in tennis instantly. Right.
Yeah. Just make it happen.
At Roland Garros, but that's a whole other conversation. But doesn't it take away like the human elements of it, the fun? I mean, I don't know.
But the human element is so bad right now.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Yeah. I know. Look, Jackie. I know being a Mets fan, you're not used to having postseason discussions, but
I wasn't.
You're a Mets fan too. I know it's hard.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. But no, I agree. No, the human element is part of the romance and the history of the game. And if there's a game other than hockey that's more, steeped in tradition, baseball has got such a rich tradition. But like you guys are saying, it's become to the point where now, per inning, there's a count goes from 2-1 instead of 1-2, and it just makes such a difference in the approach the hitters have.
Well, you can agree with me on this. If they had the replay, you would not have a no-hitter in the Mets history. Because
What's that?
Sorry, that was my.
Was that Ranger playing a video game?
No, that was me. I might have to pop off in a few minutes, guys. Sorry.
No problem.
That's okay. No, you got work to do. You can do your real job. We can't pay you.
Yeah, right.
Well, Bartan can, but we can't.
No, I can't anymore.
But Johan Santana's no-hitter would not have existed without if there was replay. I know that ball was fair or foul or whatever. I can't remember, so many years ago now. But I don't know, like the human element of it. Yeah, I mean, it kind of sucked when what's his face didn't get the no hitter at the end, or
the perfect game. Yeah, I can't remember his name, but the ump blew the call.
Yeah, Galarraga.
Was it Galarraga?
Yeah, right.
Jim Joyce, right?
I think
Maybe.
it was Jim Joyce. Yeah.
But it's the human element of it. I mean, look back in history. How many things would have probably changed? I mean, look, Buffalo Sabres, right?
Yeah, walking the crease. Yeah, the state skin the crease. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's kind of I don't know. I kind of like the idea of the human element to it.
Yeah, no, it's certainly a good discussion to have, and I'm sure people fall on either side of the fence. It's just, especially when you're watching your team, it makes it that much more frustrating because you just want it to be fair across the board. And some of these umps, bless their hearts, are in their 60s and 70s, probably can't see all that well anymore.
Yeah, that's part of the problem too. There's not a lot of young umpires.
And look, I'm saying just keep all of the umpires on the field the way they are. The only thing that's going to change is strikes and balls, because it's just, there's too much money involved to make such an egregious mistake at a crucial part of a game.
Right.
So I get the human element. I totally do. But, in sports, I think overall we're slowly but surely inching towards a little more of a mechanical or electronic component. And I think it's time for baseball to follow suit. They're still going to make mistakes. They're still going to make mistakes in the outfield and, call a guy safe when he was out, and et cetera.
I'm going to have to pop off because there's I need to be on. But I just want to say, someone asked, have you guys seen Brockmire? And it's fantastic, although I did not like the last season. Just going to
I agree. The first season was fantastic.
The last season made no sense, although they kind of saw the apocalypse that were happening. So,
Jackie, real quick before you leave, where can our viewers find your work?
Sporting News or Sporting News Canada. So sportingnews.com/ or if you're in the US, sportingnews.com. And if you want to check out the Canadian website, it's sportingnews.com/CA. And you can find me on Twitter also at Jackie Spiegel 93.
Cool.
Thank you so much for coming out again. We really enjoy it.
Sorry, I had to jump off early. I apologize.
Bye, Ranger.
Bye, Jack.
Have a good weekend. He just did something the Mets haven't done in a long time.
What's that? Raise
his arms.
Yeah. How frustrating is it watching Travis d'Arnaud?
Oh God.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But sometimes guys just put it together when they get a change of scenery. I mean,
for sure.
he had an ample chance with the Mets.
Yeah, he did.
It just seems to happen to the Mets a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's a home run friendly park.
I mean, look at like the Cards right now. You think they want Voit back or Randy? How do you say his last name?
What's his name?
Randy, who hits like Ted Williams right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're the Cardinals, you're like, what the hell?
I know.
So
some of these guys just, you look at, say, Tony Gray.
Yeah. He just didn't fit in New York. Yeah.
New York, and now he's a great pitcher. However,
he was good before. He didn't fit. Now he's good again. So it happens.
I'll tell you a team that this is a team that actually could give they could possibly pick them up, but at least give them all they can handle is the Braves. If those three pitchers pitch the way did you see ESPN this morning or last night? They put up a stat. It was Glavine, Maddox, and Smoltz in 95. And it was ERA, it was runs allowed, it was balls versus strikes, it was WHIP. I still don't know what WHIP means. But anyway, these three guys in the playoffs this year have a lower in all those categories than Maddox, Glavine, and Smoltz.
Yeah.
They're missing arguably their best pitcher.
Yeah.
Soroka's going to be out all of next season, and that's crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
And that lineup is disgusting.
And I hate the Braves being a Mets fan for so long, but I like this team. I like these guys.
They're a very likable team. I love Acuna. I love Albies. They're great for baseball.
Yeah. Absolutely. They're like Fernando Tatis Jr.
Yeah.
Just under, but they're great for baseball. My new favorite hated team is probably the Nationals.
They're going to say the Padres, but okay.
No, I don't mind. I follow the Dodgers, right? Because I've been living here for over 35 years. So when the Dodgers do well, I root for them, except when they play the Mets. And the Mets historically have had their number in the playoffs more times than not.
Yeah.
But I used to hate Braves, obviously being a Met, and I hated the Nationals, especially with Bryce Harper. I can't stand the guy. I can't stand his attitude. He's an incredible ball player, but something about that guy just rubs me the wrong way. And you'd think I'd hate the Phillies, but something about Philadelphia baseball. I hate Philly fans in general. I don't like Eagles fans. I don't know what it is about the city. And I love the city of Philadelphia. I
do too. It's just like Boston. I just hate their fans are just a hot mess.
Yeah. Some of my best, coolest, most down-to-earth, grounded, awesome human beings are from Philadelphia. But something about the Philadelphia sports culture just turns me off. And except for the Phillies, because they're just about as bad as the Mets.
The Phillies they've never bothered me. And it's funny because Philadelphia sports is a little rough. Boston sports is a little rough, but I've been to concerts in Boston and I've been to concerts in Philly. The music scene in both cities are fantastic. I actually enjoy a lot of the venues more than New York City. And it's I was 2 feet away from Liam Gallagher at the House of Blues in Philly. It's crazy. But then you go to their sports teams and you might die at some of those games.
Yeah.
There's always a chance that you will get stabbed or shanked,
it's famous that the Vet had a prison.
Yes. When your stadium has a jail underneath it,
you've got
it's But going back to the baseball, I know they expanded the playoffs, which it's good and bad. We look at a couple teams like San Diego and the Marlins. Both got swept this round, but they gained so much experience going forward, and I think that really helps them more than say the Dodgers, who might win the World Series this year, but it could be asterisk next to it. So it's more so than hockey because hockey was able to almost finish a season. Here they kind of had a BS short season. So it helped those teams that got swept. I feel to get.
I think the White Sox too.
White Sox too is another good example.
And you haven't even seen the best of those teams. All 3 teams have very good young nucleuses in place. The Marlins still need more bats, but my God, are they loaded? They have some amazing live arms there and more coming. The Padres are loaded. You haven't even seen Mackenzie Gore yet, their number 1 prospect. Same thing with the White Sox. Now they all have a little experience. Now they're kind of positive destinations for some free agents, so they can add a little bit here and there. All 3 very young. All 3 very exciting and almost must watch right now. And that's one good thing that's come out of this season.
Yeah. And you could argue that San Diego might have made the playoffs regardless because they finished only 3 games behind the Dodgers. But I don't recall the rest of the NL standings. But no, the Padres are fun to watch. And they went a little retro with their uniforms this year. So
they're perfect.
They're awesome. They're great.
I want a jersey or a shirt, maybe a shirt with the swinging priest, the monk. I think that would be fantastic. Just go back to your earlier jerseys. They're always so much better.
Yeah, except maybe for the 80s Astros.
Those are so bad. I like them.
Yeah. Or the White Sox.
I like the old school green A's jerseys are fantastic.
Yeah, those are cool. Those are cool.
Like the Sprite cans. Yeah, those are really nice. Is it time for trivia?
It's Alicia said bad things happen in Philly, and Michelle said, "Oh my God, I would ask, but I won't." Michelle, I think she might be referring to a quote from our lovely president.
Maybe, but that could be a quote from anyone. I think we've all had experiences in Philly that were a little.
A couple of days ago, didn't you say, "Oh, bad things happen in Philadelphia"?
Oh, I missed that. I try to,
and then
I take it in moderation.
And then the next day, you said Philadelphia's the greatest. It's the greatest city ever.
Right.
Anyway,
even Will Smith left Philadelphia. So
Will Smith left Philadelphia. It was so bad.
Yeah. All right. So we got trivia now. Here we go.
Oh, they're Cooperall uniforms. You remember the skateboarding pant?
Yeah, those are pretty bad.
Yeah.
All right. So today's trivia is active NHL players by nationality.
Okay.
So you guys are going to have to give me the name of a country, and I will tell you if there's an active player in that country or not. And I can't remember who goes first.
Dan?
No? Okay, I'll go. Let's start with Canada.
Okay.
You guys will each get an extra. How about this? You guys each get an extra point if you can come within. Let me see. If you can come within. Oh, no, that's not going to work. Forget it.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Canada is correct, obviously.
Okay.
14 players.
USA.
254 players.
Okay.
Sweden.
113.
Finland.
49. That's a lot
Russia.
of Finns.
Yeah.
A lot of Finns. Russia.
50. Only one more than the Finns. Yeah.
Germany.
Germany 9.
Norway.
Norway 3. Sorry, where is Norway? 1.
Zuccarello. Yep.
Czech Republic.
Czech Republic has 33.
Slovakia.
You have 12.
Austria.
Austria has 2.
Switzerland.
Switzerland has 15.
France.
France has 3.
Ukraine.
Ukraine, let's see. Ukraine is not on the list, buddy.
Timoshov. He's in the Red Wings. Dimitrov
No,
Timoshov.
Well, I believe you, but he's not on this list. I don't know from what year it is. Oh, I'm sorry. This is from 1972. No, I'm kidding. All right, I'll give it to you since you're so sure about it. But he's not on.
Yeah, he played like half the season last year.
All right.
Australia.
Yes, 1 player. Who is it?
Nathan Walker.
Oh, nice.
Latvia.
5 players.
The Netherlands.
1 player. Who is that?
Yeah, who is that?
I don't know. I just threw it out there. I have no idea.
Yeah, 1 player. Nice
Estonia.
Estonia. No Estonia.
Where's Kopitar from? Oh shit, he's from Slovenia. Oh, god damn it! It's all Baltics to me.
Yeah.
You only missed one, really. Is Denmark? You didn't say Denmark.
Oh, Denmark! How the hell did we forget Denmark? Franz Nielsen.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's
we did well. Oh, great, we did well.
Yeah.
There's only 17 nationalities represented in the NHL. There you go.
Wow.
All right, that was actually fun.
Yeah, that was.
I don't mean to sound so surprised, but that was fun. Because we're always doing players. It's kind of fun doing countries.
Yeah, sure.
So we're gonna skip cards for this week. I'm sorry, but I'm people send me cards. I've gotten a lot of good ones. So we'll get them next week.
Hey, Noel, plug your new show for a second. You have a card show now.
Cards, yeah. It's reliving the cards. We're looking at non-sports trading cards. We're opening up packs. Done a lot of episodes already. Joanna has been helping out a little bit. We
love Joanna.
Yeah, the first episode came out today. Stuart Pankin, Dinosaurs, came out. Maybe we'll get an Alias one, Michael. We'll see.
Don't hold your breath.
Yeah, I won't either. All right.
They don't print Alias cards, right?
They don't print cards on Papyrus anymore. So
yeah.
No, there were Alias cards. I actually had a couple.
Yeah. Yeah, we showed one. We showed you.
That's right. We did. We had. That's right. That's right.
Your jersey card, I guess you could say. Yeah, but we're gonna leave you guys. We found this video and it's pretty wild.
It is.
Medellin, Colombia. So you think of one thing there, you think of Pablo Escobar. There's also this crazy race here. We're gonna show you and do a little commentary along with. Here we go.
2, 3, 2,
I literally would be dead like 7 times. This is terrifying.
That's insane. And the winner of that race actually got not to die, not to be executed. All the other racers who did not win were shot.
I wonder if that was like a drug deal right there gone bad, and he was just getting the hell out of there.
Those guys are great mules. Those guys are professional mules.
But it's the narrowness of the streets which was so freaky. I mean, and
how great of an Olympic sport would that be?
It's like bike parkour almost, but those wooden slats to make those makeshift bridges seem pretty crickety.
Yeah, that seems sturdy, right?
Yeah.
Actually, I think it's rickety, not crickety.
Right.
What do you think their insurance plans are? Probably better than ours.
Yeah, that was actually the trailer for season 6 of Narcos right there. So,
right.
Yeah. But a couple comments here. We got Eva saying he won a life. He can play one more time. Joanna, can you imagine that in VR?
Oh my God! Yeah, flying around the room and hitting myself against the dresser, the wall.
Right. And Rob says, "I'm waiting till he has to go back to the top of the hill." Which
could you imagine that?
Right. So that's pretty. But that's our show. Hopefully by next week there'll be some more moves in the league, and hopefully the Yankees will advance tonight, and maybe we'll have a little surprise.
And if there aren't any moves, maybe Noel and Dan, you guys can show off some of your dance moves.
Oh God,
I don't think anyone wants to see that.
Yeah.
Oh, look at
actually, that. Noel doesn't. Noel usually doesn't move his arms a lot. It's just kind of like this. Like I've actually seen Noel dance before, and he like kind of slumps over, and his arms just those wacky inflatable balloon guys. That's kind of how actually I call it the Noel, when you can't move your shoulders and you just kind of like that.
You know what? From now on, for the rest of my life, every time I go by
you're gonna see Noel's face on that.
I'm gonna be like, "Hey, Noel."
Yeah. Yep. And I'll way back, so it'll be perfect.
He has a very sturdy base, very strong core. It's everything up here.
It's like
in the Muppet Show when Kermit gets excited.
Yeah. It's exactly like Trump. He's got a very strong base, and everything else is all over the fucking place. All right, no politics here. This is sports and entertainment.
Exactly.
Or at least sports.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Facebook.
Thanks, guys.
Votes coming up soon, and we'll see you next week, everybody.
Have a great week.
Thank you, everybody.
Take care. Bye.
2, 3, 2, 1.